An Interview with Ben Franklin by Kylee Fox. Benjamin Franklin was one of our founding forefathers, an inventor, a statesman, a writer, a publisher, an entertainer, and a Quaker. What all of this is will be explained during the interview. It's my pleasure to interview such a person. I would love to travel back in time to see what happened, so this is how I imagine our interview would go. I would ask him about his life experiences, his feelings, thoughts, wisdom, and ideas.
If I could turn back time, I would love to have an interview with Benjamin Franklin.
Question and answer with Benjamin. My first question to Benjamin would be, did you really create the Farmer's Almanac?
I created and published such books, called by my pseudonym Poor Richard's Almanac, beginning on December 28, 1732. It was very popular, offering a mixture of seasonal, weather forecasts, practical household hints, puzzles, and other amusements for the colonist. When my dear brother James died in 1735, I sent 500 copies of Poor Richard's to his widow for free, so that she may make money selling them. It made me more wealthy and popular among the colonists.
My dad buys them every year. He said his great-grandparents bought them too. How did you feel about the Boston Tea Party?
A tea party this wasn't, my dear inquisitive one. A party, a gathering of company to drink tea at 5 o'clock that afternoon, would have been a proper party. My social gathering and being invited for such became common for social occasions. This occasion of destruction of property, I disapproved of the Boston Tea Party. I urged the participants to pay for the tea that they destroyed. I did not think it necessary to resort to destruction of private property. To me, these extreme measures were radical. I even offered to pay for the tea myself.
How did writing the Declaration of Independence make you feel, and did everyone else feel the same?
How did it make me feel? I will tell you how it made me feel. Us feel, and how we felt. Indeed, we all united as fellow countrymen in early July 1775, a year before my fellow American patriots made their own stance official. I made known to a few in confidence that I was ready to go public with this long-considered decision to turn my back on members of Parliament, and one of that majority which has doomed my country to destruction. I wrote to my former friend, "You have begun to burn our towns and murder our people. Look upon your hands. They are stained with the blood of your relations. You and I were long friends. You are now my enemy, and I am yours. B. Franklin."
Oh my goodness, that was sad. I'm so sorry for you.
Please don't distress. I'm not. With that said, I will continue with the witty side that followed while answering the rest of your questions. Continue, shall we, Miss Kylee?
Sure, I would like that.
Can you tell me and my fellow students about the committee you and 4 others were on, the one that drafted the Declaration of Independence?
It was back in 1776, and I was on a committee. I had returned from England in 1775, and we were already at war. And there were 5 of us on this committee. We were supposed to do something. We were supposed to set down the reasons for our dissatisfaction with the king. Someone had to write the document, a declaration of independence. John Adams was on that committee. Perhaps you've heard of him. He wanted to write the document. I said, "You can't write it, Mr. Adams." He said, "Why not, Mr. Franklin?" I said, "Because you're obnoxious and disliked. It will never pass." He said, "You can't write it either, Franklin." I said, "Of course I can. I'm a journalist. I've been writing all my life. Certainly I can write it." He said, "You'll put a joke in there." And he was right. I would have. But there was a young man on that committee, a man from the South. We needed the support of the South. He was a tall, good-looking, red-haired fellow from Virginia. You might have heard of him. Thomas Jefferson. Oh, a brilliant man. By far, I think, the most brilliant of the members of our Second Continental Congress. And a good writer. That was important. But the most important thing of all was, he was young. He didn't know any better. So we gave him the job. And he wrote that Declaration of Independence, and then we changed it. Actually, we didn't change it. We changed it and changed it and changed it and changed it and changed it until Thomas Jefferson was a little upset. He said, "It is no longer mine, you've ruined it." And then he stopped and he realized it couldn't be his. It had to belong to every one of us. Changes were necessary, if for no other reason than to make each one of us a part of that document. So that when 56 of us pledged our lives and our fortunes and our sacred honor, that promise to you and your children and your grandchildren would be fulfilled.
But Benjamin, sir, what happened next?
But we had to fight a war. It's never been a good war. During that war, I went to France because we needed help. We don't do things alone. We like to think we do things alone, but we do things with the help of many, and we like to deal with friends. And so I went over there as a friend. Thomas Jefferson was supposed to go. He didn't want to go. Wanted to stay in America and play the violin. I recently found out he actually was not playing the violin. He was fiddling around. But he arrived 9 years later. I went over to France, in spite of what I heard. It was 1776, and I was 70 years old. They said, "Send Franklin, he's old, he doesn't have anything to live for." And I went, and I showed them. I took my electrical gadgets, I took my little printing press. I told the stories of America. And before long, we had the help of the French. We had the ships and the guns and the cannons and the gunpowder that we needed. It was time to come back to America. But there was a big job back here. You see, we had 13 states, and our 13 states were acting as if they were 13 different countries. They were going in 13 different directions, and our United States would not long remain united if we did not do something about it. And so, the meeting was called. And in that summer of 1787, 11 years after we signed that declaration, we found ourselves locked up in the same room in the Pennsylvania State House, which you call Independence Hall today. It was hot. It was humid. We were arguing, we were debating, and we were disagreeing. And then we came to realize something. You can only solve your problems if you are willing to discuss your differences and find your points of agreement. But if you can work together, if you can cooperate, if you can compromise, you can solve any problem. And we began to do that. We wrote a constitution. And my friends, it begins with the words, "We, the people," are not me, not I, but we, not not just you, but all of us. We, the people of the United States, will have the right to tell our government how we wish to be governed. No longer will we allow the government to tell us how it will govern us. A government of the people, but a government that can only remain so if you are willing to do your part. For the seeds of ingenuity, the seeds of cooperation, the very seeds of freedom are in your hands. But my friends, they must be planted, they must be watered, or they cannot grow. And so my wish for all of you is that you will always have the integrity and the courage and the willingness to work for freedom, to keep America a symbol of freedom and a beacon of hope to the world, the United States of America.
When did the idea begin?
Yes, it began even before my day. It began when a man named William Penn here in Pennsylvania said, this will be a place of friendship, a place where everyone will be welcome as a friend. And I feel when I see all of you that it is indeed America's grand historic meeting place of good friends.
Benjamin Franklin was a very well-respected figure, a statesman, if you will.
Nine signers of the 56 who signed the Declaration of Independence were Freemasons in their lifetime. William Ellery, Rhode Island. John Hancock, Massachusetts. Joseph Hughes, North Carolina. William Hooper, North Carolina. Robert Payne, Massachusetts. Richard Stockton, New Jersey. George Walton, Georgia. William Whipple, New Hampshire. And Benjamin Franklin from Pennsylvania. Benjamin Franklin was initiated into Masonry in 1731 at the young age of 17, probably at the February meeting of St. John's Lodge in Philadelphia. He was elected Grand Master in just a few short years later in 1735. In an interesting letter to his mother in April of 1738, Benjamin Franklin stated that the Freemasons, quote, have no principles or practices that are inconsistent with religion and good manners, after his induction into St. John's Lodge of Philadelphia. Was Benjamin Franklin a Quaker? That is a common misconception. The answer is no. He lived in Quaker territory, but he was a Puritan. When Quakers acted according to Franklin's own principles, he could be generous in his praise and support, but that's all. Benjamin Franklin was an inventor. My favorite inventions were bifocals and the glass harmonica that composers Mozart and Beethoven wrote music for, which was made out of glass bowls. He also made an electric battery.
I see we're out of time. Well, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to indulge me. There's lots more stories at the Library of Congress, including Benjamin Franklin's notes, diaries, and stories.